sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Oh, it's that fabulous time of year, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's WMNF, WMNF.org if you're listening on the internet. 88.5 on your FM dial. I'm your host, Mario Nunez, seated alongside my broadcast partner,
Joe King Carter. Ho, 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 ho,
Joe has got his ho-ho.
By the way,
going early this morning. Merry
and also
Christmas, everybody.
good afternoon, too.
That's right. That's right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, yeah.
We are excited that you're still there listening and you're listening attentively. I would like to say right up at the top, good morning and Merry Christmas. And today is the first day of Hanukkah, so it's appropriate to say also, Joe.
It is. It's Merry
Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Yeah, we'll leave it right there.
Yeah.
And joining us today in studio will be Jessica Green. And Jessica, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Jessica is our engineer, and she's the one that works all the buttons and all the levers to make sure that we sound great. And if you're joining us on Facebook Live, thank you for doing that. We see you there as well.
And by the way, Jessica's volunteer commitment today has been huge.
Oh, my gosh.
She's been here since this morning early.
I got up at 3:15.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's why the lights were low in the studio when we came in. I think she was catching a few winks. But thanks for being here,
bravo, Jessica.
Of
Bravo.
course, of course.
Yeah.
So today's show is going to be all about the holiday, and we know that last night, for those of us that are of the Latino persuasion, we were celebrating something called Nochebuena, which is good night, and it's kind of the Christmas Eve celebration. We'll get a little bit into that in just a few minutes. But on a personal note, if you guys will indulge me, I would like to say at this time to my family that's out there listening, both my extended family and my nuclear family, Merry Christmas, felicidades. To my granddaughter, Penelope, Penny, you're out there. This is your abuelo, and he says he loves you very, very much, and we know that you're out there listening with your mom and dad. And to all the friends that are out there as well, wherever you might be, we hope that you're enjoying all the blessings of this early Christmas morning. Joey, what do you remember about Christmas? Do you want to say, first of all, do you want to say a shout out to anybody in particular?
Just love and peace to everyone on earth, and that's it. That's what we need: more peace, more
than anything
peace.
else. Well, like the song says, you know what? The world needs.
That's right.
Now.
They played it in the last show. I heard it, and
they stole all of our good songs.
Yeah. Well, they had 3 hours.
So today we're also going to be sharing with you all some of our favorite
pieces of music.
Favorite Christmas carols. We're going to make this lighthearted and fun. We can't take any phone calls today, which we usually do, because Jessica, who would be answering our phones, and of course we're working with the skeleton crew here in studio. She's going to be again at the controls, but you can send us emails and text messages. So I'm going to give you right up at the top of the show, I'm going to give you that email address, dj@wmnf.org. And of course, you can always send us a text, 813-433-0885, and we will read your texts, provided we can, on the air. If you'd like to wish us a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays,
yes,
we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, well, Christmas. I mean, Christmas is
it's special, Joe.
You go back and forth. I think you kind of go in and out. It expands, it contracts. As an adult, you might have some Christmases that are more important than others, and there's a lot of vulgar commercialism, and some people feel that the religious meaning of the holiday is somehow lost at times. Yet, no matter what happens, I find that I'm always exhilarated. I always, when I start to hear Christmas music, I think to myself, and some people will say, well, we should be doing what we do on Christmas all year long. Well,
which we try to do.
Of course we should. Of course, we should be loving ourselves and our family of humans all year. But Christmas just kind of has that specialness about it. And of course, it goes all the way back into pagan traditions when it was in the cold of the winter, and it was a reason for things to happen. And then, of course, if you are a Christian, it is the birth of the baby Jesus. And there's all those things are combined. But I just kind of open my heart and I let Christmas come in.
That's a beautiful way to put it, my friend. I want to say that it also appeals to the inner child in all of us.
Oh,
so
yeah.
no matter how old you get, I think the magic of Christmas, and you have to express it that way, at least in my opinion, the magic of Christmas.
So do you
will
have a
always
special?
prevail.
Do you have a special Christmas from your childhood where something happened on that particular Christmas?
Well, I was not ready for this, but I'm always ready for an answer.
Sure, let's go.
So let's say it was Christmas circa 1970. I had just turned 12, right? And full disclosure, people out there listening have to understand that the Conversation radio host was one of the last ones to give up the ghost. So I knew Santa was going to come to my house, until I was probably 10, 11. And Santa always shows up, even now, and I'm 66.
Right.
But back then, the quandary for me was, how does he get into the house, man? Because we had one of those West Tampa starter homes that had a nary a chimney or a fireplace. So, Laura would have it that he would come down the chimney and leave the gifts by the tree.
Right.
How did he get into my house? We didn't have a chimney. But it didn't stop me from believing. So that Christmas, pretty much everything I wanted, I got that Christmas, right? And the two things that I wanted the most were a replica or, junior football uniform, Detroit Lions helmet, which was very cool, and the pads and the whole uniform. And then, of course, I got a little black and white TV, man, for my bedroom.
Wow.
Which, little 10-inch,
Wow.
9, 10-inch, whatever it was, a 12-inch.
Look at you.
Well, and exactly. And Joe, we're going to do a show in the new year, especially with some of our older viewers, listeners, forgive me, that grew up like we did, watching a lot of TV. Because TV was in its infancy, but it was also just exploding on the scene, right?
Absolutely.
So the 60s and the 70s ushered in that golden age of incredible television.
Yeah.
So how about you're a 12-year-old kid, you're in the 6th grade, and for Christmas you get a TV that now sits adorning your dresser.
Wow.
That late night you can watch that TV anytime you want.
Wow. How special.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
My favorite.
When you were talking,
1970.
we have to remember, as you were talking about Santa Claus is not, he's an all-powerful being in some ways.
Yes, he is.
So he's a magical guy because he somehow manages to deliver all the gifts on earth to all the children on earth. And so...
and he gets those reindeer to fly.
And all that good stuff. So you see, what you were not thinking of then was that he's a lot more today like an alien intruder who abducts people from their beds at night. He can just dimensionally travel right through the wall.
Yes.
And he dematerializes and rematerializes like Captain Kirk. And that's how it works.
Yeah, they just get into
There
that.
you go. Yeah.
I love that. I don't know exactly what you meant by all of that, but because you're scaring the children, Joe. You're scaring the children.
He says Santa Claus will get in. Don't worry, folks. He'll get in somehow.
And without getting too religious about it, because we don't want to go. We're going to keep it lighthearted today, as we discussed. But there's a lot of similarities between, in my humble opinion, between the jolly old Saint Nick that we look forward to celebrating every year, and the sacred birth of the baby Jesus, which today is his birthday, because as that Christmas carol will remind us, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake.
Right.
He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good. Go ahead, finish it.
There you go. For goodness sake.
For goodness sake. So
absolutely.
We whatever it is that keeps us hopeful, that keeps us leaning into tomorrow with love in our hearts, right?
Yep.
And for our fellow man, as we discussed, that's where we want to go. So listen, if you've got a differing opinion, or you want to just shout at us today and wish us well,
or just say Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Or share something about a favorite Christmas film, movie, maybe a favorite,
how about that?
A Christmas song.
Because we're going to do that today, Joe.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we want to participate. We want our fans to participate.
Let me share this with you. When I was 10 years old, we were poor. I guess what we really were probably lower middle class in our society.
There you go.
So we had a little money, but we didn't have much. I usually got one gift, and that was it. And if I was lucky, and I was an only child, my father was wheelchair bound and sick, and there was a lot of trauma around that. And so my mother had to do double duty. She was my father and my mother, and she was always. I realize now, as a much older person and going through all the things I've gone through, that she was doing some remarkable behind the scenes work for me that I didn't understand she was doing. And so in that process, between our house, which was sort of out in an area that was like there wasn't really a suburbia in my town when growing up, but it was, we lived on the south east side of Bradenton, Florida. And the neighborhood there were little sections of neighborhood where there was a lot of houses, and then there would be houses that are on a quarter of an acre or whatever, kind of like country, kind of like Brandon back in the old days for you, and that sort of thing. And from my house to my school, my elementary school was 2 miles, and I walked to school every day. And then beyond my school, toward downtown Bradenton, was the Boys Club.
Yeah, of course.
And I grew
A
up...
sanctuary for young men at that time.
Oh, absolutely.
And after school care.
And the society was so different back then because children just walked around the town unattended. There were no helicopter parents. It's very interesting how that all worked.
No abductions, no arbitrary abductions.
Well, there were abductions occurring, and there was sadly child abuse, but we certainly didn't know about it the way we do now, because all of that was brought to the forefront from Adam in the early 80s.
Adam Walsh?
Adam Walsh. That's what really shifted our society. So at any rate, I would sometimes walk from school to the Boys Club, and in between the Boys Club and my school was Crash Cup's bicycle shop. And everyone in the community, including my mother, referred to the man who owned the bicycle shop as Old Man Crash Cup. I don't know how old he was, but at any rate, he had white hair. And I would occasionally stop in and look at bicycles and talk to him a little bit. And one day prior to Christmas, this beautiful 10-speed black English racer appeared in the window. And I went in and I talked to Old Man Crash Cup. You know, I was like 10 years old. And I said, wow, that's really an amazing bike. And he said, yeah, she's a beauty. And I walked out the store and I decided her name was Black Beauty.
Black Beauty.
And so I went home and I, of course, shared all that with my mother. And I had no ability to even hope that I would ever get that bike. I had a bicycle, by the way, that was a Frankenstein kind of bike that had been put together
with different parts
of
from
other
different
bikes.
bikes.
Yeah.
Love
and
that.
it was a poor kid's bike. And so I think we know where the story is going. Christmas morning, the Black Beauty was on my floor in my living room next to the tree.
Oh, my.
And I cried. Tears of joy.
As did I when I got that TV.
Yeah,
I think I cried more for the football uniform, though.
And
really.
You know, it was just an amazing moment, and probably the most profound of Christmases. I jumped on my bike, and my mother said, be back before 1 because we're having Christmas dinner. All the relatives were gathering at the house. And, of course, I didn't come back at 1 because I was on my bike and I was free. And I and the Black Beauty were flying through the air. And it was just an amazing experience. It ultimately led to me being a cyclist as a young man. I did competitions and things like that. And when I was 18, I sadly had to let go of the Black Beauty and got a green Peugeot racing bicycle that I had for many years after that. But that is my Christmas that really stands out.
And so you were
so
10?
lucky to have that Christmas.
You were 10. It was like 1964. This is right about, and I think that what makes those gifts so special in some ways is that they're total surprises. You know, like, okay, you see the box, you go, okay, well, that's a big box. I wonder what that could be.
Right.
And then when you get to rip it open and you realize what it is, you go, oh, wow, I mentioned that maybe 6 months ago.
Right.
Forgot about it. That's way too much.
Yes, if your parent or parents have managed to somehow surprise you,
there you go.
That's as much a part of the gift as anything.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So let's now talk. Let's shift gears a little bit. Thank you for sharing that memory, Joe.
Yes,
because that's very, very cool. Let's talk a little bit about maybe music that's because again, you know, there are so many different things in our lives that spark that part of our brain, that ignite that part of our brain, whether it's an olfactory, a smell, or it's a sight. It's certainly sound is in there. All of our senses activated. let's talk about Christmas carols and Christmas music. Is there a song in particular that we can play? Because Jessica's chomping at the bit to play something for us.
I don't have a specific.
Because there's too many, Joe.
Yeah,
let's face
but
it.
the song in my childhood,
Yes.
that really tied me to Christmas was "Silent Night." That song is a powerful, amazing song, and I used to sing it. I did a solo version of Silent Night in our church choir, and for a couple of years in a row. And then I hit puberty, and
Something happened with the voice.
because you have to hit high C. You have
Yes,
to
you
go
do.
Silent Night, Holy Night, la la la. You have to get way
Get
up
up there.
there, and I couldn't get up there anymore. But I think that Jessica has. Jessica, why don't we play the Hanukkah Rhapsody song? Can we do that? Because
And then on the backside of that, Jessica can tell us a little bit about her experience growing up in the Hanukkah.
Yes,
Rhapsody
absolutely.
That she shared.
well, that's
with
the
her
reason I
family.
chose that song. It's a Hanukkah song.
Well done.
Is this the eighth night? We light with family. Recall with great pride our escape from great tyranny. Kindle the lights. Remember the Maccabees. How did those 5 boys lead us to victory? They stood up against mighty foes with their oil running low. Now we sing the lights glow. Maosor Yeshuati. Judah, our faith was banned. Evil Antiochus said, no more Torah could be read. Judah, Mattathias' son, you would not throw our heritage away. Judah, we battled and survived. We kept the faith and fought on for tomorrow. And we all carried on, 'cause we knew what really mattered.
613.
Very, very good. What was the name of the group there?
That's 613, right, Jessica?
In
Yes.
the spirit of Bohemian
And by the way,
Rhapsody.
if you want to go pull that up on Spotify or YouTube, they're all a cappella. So all the musical instruments in that song are them.
Creating it with their voice box.
Yeah.
Jessica, please share an experience with us and of some of those early Hanukkah holidays.
Well, music-wise, the thing that I love to always talk about is how many Christmas songs have been written by Jewish songwriters.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, Santa and the Reindeer. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was written by Johnny Marks. And Rudolph's Red Nose, I was watching a documentary on this a few nights ago called Dreaming of a Jewish Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And Rudolph's Red Nose is actually Johnny Marks's, he's kind of thinking about the way he was treated as a young boy in New York, looking like a Jewish person with the stereotypical big nose.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of how the whole Rudolph story kind of
Interesting.
came into being.
Did not know that. Yeah.
They wouldn't let him play and join in any reindeer games.
That's
so,
right.
so this he pulled from all of that experience.
How
Exactly.
interesting, yeah.
Well, some of the greatest composers, American composers, were all Jewish. So, and most of them had their eye on the prize, which is to say, Christmas carols, knowing how much they could get their songbook out there, because that was just a part of
Yes.
and American music back in the big band era of the 30s and the 40s.
the Tin Pan Alley.
And
Yeah,
Tin Pan
absolutely.
Alley.
absolutely. Very wonderful. So do you have a favorite Hanukkah holiday or Hanukkah gift that, because it's a little bit different than it is. You guys have a wonderful opportunity to spread that love and joy for over 8 nights. Tell our listeners.
I think the gift giving at Hanukkah really came about because of the gift giving that happens during Christmas. I mean, Jews and Christians are real similar in the way that, in that history anyway, as far as gift giving. So, but the holiday, the Jewish holiday, isn't traditionally a gift-giving holiday way back in the day. So,
Right.
So we probably just took that, and having it an 8-day holiday, we just maximized for the kids how
Right.
exciting that would be and everything else. So,
and any excuse to give gifts or receive
Well, there you
gifts.
go.
But it's better to give than to receive, my brother. And I will argue that point.
But
point.
you have don't you have a specific Hanukkah gift you received?
I was given an Easy Bake Oven
Hey,
when I was 6 years old.
every young girl's dream.
Easy Bake. And
With a 100-watt light bulb. Be careful, that incandescent bulb.
And so-
you could make a muffin
Wow.
or a biscuit in
I
there
got a
with that.
lot of use out of that.
Did you really? Yeah. Jessica the homemaker.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that was so. Let's talk frankly. Wasn't that the equivalent to what maybe a lot of boys saw as a GI Joe kind of?
Sure.
the guns and all the
Yes.
army gear.
And then some of us boys like to play with dolls, and so, I was never a very traditional male.
Did you, Joe? I mean, that's. Did you have?
Well,
mean,
I was an
listen,
artistic kid, so I
I mean, you've got a doll hanging from your microphone stand right now. Let's talk about him for a minute.
Well, I mean, I like dolls. I like little images.
Sock
and
puppet. It's a sock
I don't,
puppet.
but I mean,
Not a Barbie.
the conversations we're having in our culture now about transgender and LGBTQ and all these things that are happening is, for me, have always been there
Of
for
course,
me,
of
because
course.
I'm just not on the spectrum of 1 to 100. I'm just not a 100% male kind of cultural male. I'm not. And I am whatever I am. And, I'm not. It's not very extreme, but definitely, I think you were probably enculturated much more as a male than I was because of sports.
Because of the sports.
Yeah, and I was not enculturated as a sports person. So as a kid, I like to play with girls. And if you're going to play with girls, you're going to play with dolls. I mean, some little boys don't like little girls. I always loved little girls.
Well, and it wasn't a problem, and it wasn't a problem as we got older too, because there was always an enterprising young lady in the neighborhood that would round up all the neighborhood kids to put on plays.
Yeah.
And I thought that was always exciting. I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
If
actually.
I had known Jessica, I would have been glad to bake something with her on her
Of
Easy
course.
Bake Oven.
or at least line up to eat it when it was done.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure.
So if you've got a memory you'd like to share with us, again, let us give you the email address, dj@wmnf.org. Send us a text, 813-433-0885. Do we have some emails there, Jess?
We sure do. We have a listener, actually, who's listening in from Marquette, Michigan.
Oh, right on, Marquette.
Yes.
Cold country up there.
Yep.
He says, I'm on the naughty list because I don't pick up my toys, but I keep trying. Love your show.
Well, thank you, Marquette, for listening in. That's beautiful.
It's warmed up to 20 degrees up there.
Wow.
You got a double wow in stereo.
Yeah,
at the
really.
same unsolicited, because Floridians we buckle when it's 50.
Oh, we just could not even.
The knees would be knocking at 20.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we just stay inside. We stay inside.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jess?
His name is Fred, and he
Okay.
says a good understanding of Santa is from the movie The Red One. It helps explain the magic.
the
okay.
red one. Okay, so we have a film recommendation.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you so very much.
Yeah,
It
nice.
doesn't really ever seem.
I have not seen it, by the way.
There are no have I.
Yeah.
The touchstones are sometimes the cinematic triumphs that we always look forward to seeing, whether it's A Christmas Story, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Kid, or Miracle on 34th Street. Elf has risen in the last few years,
But
couple
the
of
granddaddy
Yes.
of all,
Of course.
is A Christmas Carol, the story of Scrooge, which, by the way, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Charles Dickens' story has been made into, has been produced in radio, film, and TV more than any other story ever. I believe it holds that title.
That's an amazing
more than
statistic.
Shakespeare.
That's an amazing statistic.
It
and,
is.
And if that's one,
Yes.
then 1A might be, I'm just saying, for those who are fancy to Clarence trying to get his wings.
That's right.
It's a Wonderful Life is always pretty
A
good.
Wonderful Life. You know, A Wonderful Life is a great film, and both of those films, by the way, are magical, and they have a sort of almost metaphysical story to tell. And I think that It's a Wonderful Life. What I find fascinating about that story is that is really Mr. Potter. It's really, everybody in that film is making their way through life. We now live in the aftermath of the anti-hero in our culture, and we now will show the human side of villains, and we sort of want to understand psychologically why did the Joker become the Joker, or whatever that villain may be. But Mr. Potter is pure evil. He's just pure evil, and he is a bad guy. And what makes it interesting is that he is the kicker in that film that sets it off, because there's that great scene where I'm going to try to do my best. Lionel Barrymore. He says when Jimmy Stewart comes to him and he needs money because now he's lost this $8,000. Of
course.
Right? And
What's the matter with you, Mr. Potter?
Yeah, and Lionel.
Don't you have any Christmas spirit?
That's right. And Lionel Barrymore says,
he's tempting him. He's tempting him to join the other side.
He says, "You once called me a warped, greedy old man," and he says. He says,
"Look at you now.
And you come in here on your hands and knees." And he says, "You have $500 in a life insurance policy." And he says, "George, you're better off dead." And that is the kicker that then sets up the real part of the rest of that movie, in which now George is better off
He's
dead.
contemplating his own
wishes
suicide,
that,
sure.
yeah. And so that's an amazing film. Imagine saying to someone, let's imagine what it would be like, Mario, if you never existed. What would happen? What would have happened to the world if you had never existed? And that's an interesting thing to consider. It has a real kind of metaphysical implication. I love that film.
Love it. Watch it every year, and like a sap every time. When at certain times in the movie, the appropriate times, I will well up. Always have to have the box of tissues close by, and I do it unabashedly. And the older I get, the more I embrace it, because it puts me in touch with my humanity. So that's a great movie. Now listen, we're back to the music.
Yes.
Because, sometimes we just have to play a song or two here. If we're going to do this in chronological order, and listen, oh, by the way, when you're doing research for Christmas songs, it's not top 5, it's not top 10, it's top 100. And there's too many. But one that sticks with me, and a lot of people I know, they sing it and they're tired of it. And no, it's not Mariah Carey's song. That's coming up later. Okay, that's coming up later because it's on the list. But this first one, special to me, again, the year is 1970 when this song is released. So 70 was a good year for little Mario. 70 was a good Christmas. Jose Feliciano, a lot of you might think he might be Mexican or Central American, but that is not the case. Jose Feliciano is a proud Boricua. He's a proud Puerto Riqueño. And the song that, of course, everybody sings every year when it comes out, Feliz Navidad, I just thought he was singing to me. WLCY AM radio. I'm getting ready to go to school. It's just before Christmas break, and we get to hear this song.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
classic Jose Feliciano. And a little sidebar. Those of you that know me, and every once in a while I'll reference it here on the show, I had a, a pretty exciting career with American Airlines prior to this new venture in radio as a flight attendant. And I got the opportunity to, in person, thank Jose Feliciano for writing that song.
Really?
Because he was a passenger on one of my flights. And the
How
two things I
nice.
noticed about him right away is, number one, yes, he is blind. And he does, but he had his cane with him, but he also had somebody with him to help him.
Right.
Also, he's about my height. So, each of us, we're about standing the same height. But what a generous soul. And, I talked to him for a little bit, and he was one of those experiences when you meet somebody that's famous that you go, wow, I'm so grateful. It was everything I'd hoped it would be. He was a nice man.
Nice. That's nice.
Yep,
Yeah.
Jose Feliciano.
Yeah. So,
Come on, Joe, you got a song? Come on, let's keep rolling with the songs.
let's do it. Let's
do
do
another one. And thank you, everybody that's sending in their emails. And we are on Facebook Live, and I'm seeing so many wonderful names. Bruce Krentzman is watching, and there's so many different people that have just, because when it scrolls up and off, on Facebook Live, you got to go back later, and I will. And I'll thank everybody for watching. Sherry Rubin, thank you so much, you guys. We really appreciate you out there.
I think we have to go to the Little Bit of Dynamite, Brenda Lee.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lasso Santa Claus, and I know just why, because I'm gonna pull on his beard, pull and see if it's real. I'm gonna tickle him on the tummy, because he laughs so funny. He's so jolly and so fine when he comes around Christmas time. I'm gonna lasso Santa Claus, and the reason is because I know a boy and girl he never goes see. He never brings him toys like he does to me. I'm gonna pop Santa Claus with my water pistol gun. Bang, bang, and then I'll take his bags of toys and run and bring to all the kids who don't have none.
Oh, that's a Hawaiian holiday. It almost has a little Polynesian flavor.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd heard that, Joe.
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh, that's
don't
one of
know
my
why.
favorite Brenda Lee. pieces.
You grew up in Bradentown, brother.
Yeah.
So
but
I
Brenda
get
Lee
it.
was
She was national,
a phenomenal
international.
performer. Yeah.
And
yeah.
what was she? Was about 15 when she did all of this? She was very young when she.
She was, I believe, less than 15. I think she was 13
Wow.
when
What
she
a-
hit the charts.
What a beautiful way to kind of go through your adolescence.
Yeah. Well,
Like
she was
experiencing some
She was
successes.
special. There's a great. There's several great videos of her available on YouTube singing as a very young woman.
If you
girl.
don't remember what Brenda Lee looks like,
Yeah,
the great
and
Brenda
she's
Lee.
you can feel that she's not yet polished, or as she still has this kind of innocent energy about her that's really wonderful. But what a voice!
So the Jewish holiday, the Jewish celebration of Hanukkah, Jess, talk to us a little bit, because we know that the criticism is always, we don't have any great songs. We have dreidel, 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 and not too much else. And I encourage Jess to play, if you haven't heard it before, Adam Sandler's version of it's a Hanukkah song.
Yeah, we listened to that earlier.
I
this
know,
morning.
we
and then
did.
we listened to Neil Diamond singing the same song.
So it was, and it is great. So look it up, because it's funny. It debuted on Saturday Night Live. It's become a Christmas / Hanukkah classic. We hear it every year.
Yeah, and Adam
it's
Sandler
wonderful.
keeps updating that song too, so that it stays more current
And I think-
with the celebrities that come.
Agree with me,
Yeah.
Jess, because I think that he's an underrated, undervalued actor. He's
Supposed
brilliant.
to be a really nice guy.
He's brilliant.
Yeah,
And that was a Saturday Night Live cast that all of those fellas and gals experienced, much success after being together. What a heady experience that must be, every week coming together to put new shows on and do it all live.
Oh,
on
I
live
can't
television.
imagine. Yeah.
So talk to me, Joey. Is it my turn again to put another song in
Go
the
ahead.
hopper?
Yeah.
I got another one. Okay, so definitive Christmas album. Joe, we talked about it before we went on the air. I think, and I'll say it only because personally, for me, I saw the album when it came out in 1963. I'm 5 years old. My parents were avid music fans of all genres.
Right.
And so we had quite an extensive album collection that I could, rifle through. Later they became CDs and cassettes and everything, or cassettes and CDs. But Andy Williams is a voice that, to me, when I hear Andy Williams singing any Christmas carol, and the Andy Williams Christmas album is timestamp it.
Right.
1963. A lot of things happened in 1963.
Yeah, Andy
that weren't
Williams
great.
came out of his brothers.
His brother, there were 5 of them.
There were 5 of them, and they were
All singers.
and they were really quite amazing. All with this same kind of vocal gift that was given to them. And Andy Williams has there's just that special kind of voice.
So most everybody, and now there's a commercial running on TV ruining it, but most everybody thinks of it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Right.
So we're going to do a little bit of a different song, but they're all great. Any one of those songs. This is Happy Holidays. Any one of those songs is incredible.
Happy holiday. Happy holiday. Happy holiday. Happy holiday. While the merry bells keep ringing. Happy holiday to you. Happy holiday. Happy holiday. It's the holiday season. And Santa Claus is coming round. The Christmas snow is white on the ground. When old Santa gets into town, he'll be coming down the chimney down. He'll be coming down the chimney down. It's the holiday season, and Santa Claus has got a toy for every good girl and good little boy. Santa's a great big bundle of joy when he's coming down the chimney down. When he's coming down the chimney down. He'll have a big fat pack upon his back, and lots of goodies for you and for me. So leave a peppermint stick for old Saint Nick hanging on the Christmas tree. It's the holiday season, so a hoop-dee-doo and dickory-dock. Don't forget to hang up your sock, 'cause just exactly at 12 o'clock he'll be coming down the chimney down. He'll be coming down the chimney down. He'll have a big...
And if you're with us in the studio, we're all snapping our fingers. What a velvety, fantastic. The dulcet tones really applied with Andy Williams.
I think that I think that also both he and Mel Torme had a hit with that. And
Mel Torme's nickname for bonus points.
The Velvet Fog.
Oh, he got it. And I keyed him in when I threw you the softball.
And I also would go a step further and say that I think that Andy Williams should have had that name, the Velvet Fog.
Agreed.
I mean, I think that Andy Williams' voice is just so incredibly soft. Of course, I remember him.
Like butter.
Yeah, you and I talked about earlier, you were talking about television and your TV that you received as a gift. I'm just a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
And so I and TV literally grew up together. And I remember the Andy Williams show very well.
Come on.
Yeah.
And his Christmas specials.
Yeah.
They weren't called ugly sweaters back then, but they all had the cardigan sweater, the red sweaters. It was beautiful.
And
Listen,
it was just a few years later that I was listening to Steppenwolf and Blue Cheer and Vanilla Fudge. I mean, the transition from
talk about whipsaw.
Andy Williams to rock and roll and acid rock and metal was a big part of my early development.
And your hair got long overnight.
Yeah.
Listen, we forgot to do our station ID. We're having so much fun here. Let's do that on the backside. We'll carry on with this conversation.
Hi, this is Eddie Geller, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 Tampa.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Thank you, Eddie.
And thank you, Eddie. Eddie's wonderful. And again, Merry Christmas. And tonight, the first night of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah. And we're just excited to be here in studio. It's quiet here today. We're working with the skeleton crew. I don't even think we have a receptionist. It's really lonely. All the doors are locked, except for the bathroom door. Thank goodness that's open.
Yes.
So we can still get to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And the break room is open as well. Joe?
Yeah, well, why don't we, in the time we have left, why don't we play some more? Why don't you play one of, what I'd like to do is hold off on the last one I have.
The one you
until
have,
the
okay.
end. I think that should be our closing song.
I picked 4. I just kind of put them in chronological order, not for any special reason other than the reasons that I mentioned earlier. But this next one also, it's 1978. It was one of my favorite bands. It still is to this day. I saw them in concert at Tampa Stadium. Hard to believe that Loggins and Messina opened for them. And then, of course, Fleetwood Mac was not even the headliner yet. They hadn't exploded yet, but they were just about to. But all of this was preliminary because when it got dark and the Eagles rolled out, it was pretty spectacular. And this is an Eagles Christmas carol. Don Henley is the vocalist, y'all.
Bells will be ringing. The sad, sad news. Oh, what a Christmas to have the blues. My baby's gone. I have no friends to wish me greeting once again. Choirs will be singing Silent Night, Christmas carol by candlelight. Please come home for Christmas. Please come home for Christmas. If not for Christmas, by New Year's night.
And salutations. Oh, that's Don Henley. I won't try to do it justice. I can't do it justice.
Right.
So I think Don Henley, besides having an incredible voice, the singing cowboy, I think because he was from Texas, down there, the Austin area, if I'm not mistaken, also a drummer. And I always found it incredible when you have to, working the drums and you have a microphone and you have to sing. There's a few that have done it. Levon Helm with the band did it. There's been a couple others that are of note, but also kudos to Don Henley for not only being an excellent drummer, being the driving one of the driving forces behind the Eagles, but man, for also having a little thing with both Linda Ronstadt and Stevie Nicks.
Yeah,
come on, Don.
Well,
can we get him on the show to talk about that?
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yes,
they were definitely in that that level of entitlement called a super group.
They were
the super groups,
and they ran for a minute.
Yeah,
it wasn't just a one-hit wonder by no means.
Yeah, Eagles a great band.
So, and again, bands of our youth. So there's that.
Right.
We're going to hold off on your song, right? So
yes.
I'm going to sneak one more in, and this is much more recent. That last song was 1978. This will fast forward now to the 2000s and 14s or 13s, whenever this song came out. And a lot of people poo-poo it and they say, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't like the song. It's too commercial." But I love it. So Mariah Carey, I mentioned you at the top. Go ahead and sing us a little bit, Mariah. She's lovely.
I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true.
in the true spirit of Christmas, really, all we need is you. So thank you all for listening today. It's been a special Christmas morning. Joe, are
Yes.
you with me, partner?
I am.
I know you're searching your iPad. But
No,
listen,
I was just looking at some things. I was thinking about movies again, and I had remembered this, and I wanted to make sure I was correct about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that when the Christmas Carol was written
Yes.
by Charles Dickens?
Yes.
Do you know where he came up with the character Ebenezer Scrooge?
I do not. But please,
Okay.
please enlighten
Well,
us.
here's a little factoid that
Here
you
we
can
go.
pull out here at Christmas. Dickens was in Scotland,
Yes.
Edinburgh, and he was in an old graveyard, and he saw a headstone, and the headstone said Ebenezer Scrooge. The name grabbed his attention, and it said Ebenezer Scrooge, the mean man.
And nothing else.
And that's what it said. And so he used that impetus to create the character Ebenezer Scrooge, which has now filtered down into our culture where we say that somebody is a Scrooge if they are a miserly or mean person. But here's
Mr. Potter.
That's right. What's fascinating about this is that he misread the stone because the stone had aged. And it didn't say a mean man.
Mm-hmm.
It said a meal man, Meal. And in Edinburgh, in the time that this Ebenezer Scrooge lived, he was the major processor of grain in the community.
Oh, meal.
And meal is a word used for grain.
Of course.
That is ground.
Cornmeal.
And now people have gone back and done research and found out that he was, in fact, a wealthy man in his community because he was the producer of flour.
Did he share his wealth?
And he was a very compassionate, giving person.
Oh, Ebenezer's been getting a bad rap.
Poor
all
Eben-
these
There we go,
years.
folks. Yeah.
Well,
So-
we need to revise that. We need to come up with a new story now. Oh my gosh!
Well, unfortunately-
I don't think there's going to be a spate of new children being born in the new year named Ebenezer. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Right.
But that's a great story. That's
Isn't that a great
twist.
story? Yeah.
Hey, tell us a little bit about our dear friend Annie Ellis, who wrote us an email we're going to read here in just a minute. You want to say hello to
Well, Annie, if you're an M&F fan
Mondays.
and you are listening to Sustainable Living on Mondays, Annie is the co-host, one of the co-hosts on the show, and she is a very dear friend of mine that we go way back.
And I'll be a dear friend of hers too. So she's a dear friend.
You're
of
a dear
ours,
friend as well.
But you've got more seniority,
A little bit,
and
yeah.
she's written us an email. Jess, share that with everybody.
Yes, it's really lovely. She's writing about her own memory that's the most vivid. It was when she was around 5 or 6 and wanted a life-size infant baby doll. I got one Christmas morning but was disturbed that her head had a dent in it. My mom told me that Santa had so many toys to deliver that he accidentally sat on her. But she made it through to get to me. She always had that dent, and I always had the memory.
Wow.
That's a
Hugs and
great
kisses.
story. That's
Isn't that a great story? Yeah, absolutely. Annie, thank you so much. That's,
Stay warm up there, Annie.
yeah, I'm imagining that it's probably a little chilly where Annie is now. Yeah?
And, well, we have not had, there have been cold Christmases here, and I'm sure it's even been cold ones that you remember down in Bradenton as well.
Yes.
One funny incident that happened one Noche Buena, the 24th Christmas Eve, at my parents' house. Oh, I think our oldest was born, it's probably late 80s, and it was cold. And the city of Tampa was doing what they call a brownout. So they were rotating blackouts. I guess they called it a brownout. Why? I don't know. Just that was the phrase they used. And for whatever reason, probably too much Crown Royal, we couldn't figure out why every 45 minutes the electricity would go out.
Right.
All we knew is that we would cheer like hell when it came on because my mother was roasting the pork in the oven, and it was taking excruciatingly a long
wow.
time.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize. We just thought we were being lucky. Like, wow, it's back on again. That's great. Okay, Mom, cook it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then 45 minutes later, it was shut off. This went on for a few cycles.
Wow.
As we kept drinking, we finally, either somebody said something or we read it the next day like, oh, no, man, that was all planned. That was all calculated.
Never had brownouts in my little hometown of Bradenton, but I was in Tampa in '77 when it
It's a
snowed.
fun Christmas.
when it snowed in Tampa. I was here.
Yeah, January
And-
19th, 1977.
Yes, and I
It snowed for a while.
and I made about a 3-foot snowman on the hood of my car.
You could, because it stuck around for a hot minute.
But let me just say, Annie, thank you so much for that email. That's such a cool story. That your mother would, do that. Come out with that creative kind of thing to care for you and explain it away, and then it becomes special.
Eileen Henderson is watching us on Facebook, and she says Ebenezer Scroogey. So that's funny. That's just funny to say it like that.
Right.
Ebenezer Scroogey. Maybe we should do something, Joe. I don't know. Maybe to commemorate the new story, the new twist on his life. I don't know. Make him our patron saint.
The
conversation.
the Reformation Scrooge Fund. We should start a nonprofit to somehow.
You know how our culture loves redemption stories. You know how our culture loves redemption stories. And speaking of redemption,
Scrooge is A Christmas Carol is a redemption story.
It is.
And he did, in the end, become the man who was the original
after
Scrooge.
a couple of visits from some pretty interesting characters.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
We love
he
that.
He needed a little pushing from the other dimension.
So what do we know about Mel Blanc? What a segue. What do we know about Mel Blanc?
Mel Blanc.
Besides, he was one of the most talented voices.
Oh, yeah. The man of 100 voices.
In entertainment history.
Literally, that's what he was called.
Yeah,
the man of 100
I
voices.
saw him on Johnny Carson one night, and he told Johnny Carson that he had at any time over 400 voices in his head.
Yeah,
And he could pull all of them up or any of them up at any given time. And those of you that remember all the Warner Brothers cartoons, he voiced all of them.
Well, Mel Blanc came out of that tradition that goes way, way back in the radio in the 20s and 30s, and where they had individuals who did sound effects on radio.
Correct.
And they could break glass, and they used coconut halves for hoofs and that sort of thing. But there were people these voice actors who I'm a huge admirer of them because that's the pressure is on, folks, when you've got to produce and, we're talking into a mic right now and you have to be kind of aware of what you're doing. But people like Mel Blanc, those guys are sort of disappearing now. And he was in that stable of voices that did cartoons and all these things, and he was just an amazing guy. His voice was amazing.
And one of the cartoon characters that he made famous was Porky Pig, and that's the reason.
And Bugs Bunny.
And Bugs was the lead straw that
That's
stirred that drink. But
that's right.
And all of his playmates, and Elmer Fudd, and so on, and Tasmanian Devil, go on and go on.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about Porky Pig.
Well, we have Porky Pig with us here
There
today.
you go. There
we
you
have
go,
Porky
Joey.
Pig, and I'm going to ask that we allow Porky to go right to the end of the song because it's not a long song, and you want to hear Porky in his full production.
Enjoy.
Gang, and now if you'll all be quiet, we'll start the show. I drew this cartoon all by myself. But shucks, it wasn't hard because I'm an artist. I hope you like it. I'll have a blue at Christmas without you. If you feel so blue, it'll just thinking about you. It'll decorations of red on a green Christmas tree. It won't be the same, dear, if you're not here with me. And when those blue snowflakes start falling, that's when those blue memories start calling. You'll be doing all right with your Christmas with right, but I'll have a blue Christmas.
Oh, where would we be without little Porky Pig at Christmas
he's
time?
so sweet.
And you know, that's a far cry from the Blue Christmas that you were all accustomed to with Elvis Presley. And it's been covered by several artists. But as we come to the close of yet another wonderful edition of The Conversation here on WMNF, Joe, a Christmas salutation to everybody?
Well, I just want to say to everybody out there that, whether you are celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or any way that you are celebrating life and love and giving and compassion, that's the real theme of this season. And that's what we need to remember. And please, folks, be kind to yourselves.
Jessica, thank you. As always, a little parting word from Jessica?
Just have a wonderful holiday, stay safe, and enjoy something new for the new year.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing part of your Christmas day with us. Now, go back and eat some of those leftovers and know that we love you and we care about you, and we'll see you here next week for New Year's Day. You've been listening to WMNF 88.5 Tampa.